News Talk Radio WOBM AM 1160 and 1310 presents Townsquare Tonight. Your chance to speak with Jersey Shore newsmakers about the issues that affect you. Call 732-505-1160. Now from WOBM News, Townsquare Tonight on News Talk Radio WOBM AM 1160, 1310 and WOBMAM.com.
Almost 4 years after the fact, Superstorm Sandy is ancient history for an America that's moved on. Even in New Jersey, it's a dot in the rear view in many spots. So why is the shore still suffering?
This summer, everybody is going topless at the Jersey.
Within this past week, New Jersey prosecutors filed charges against a bankrupt Manahawkin home contracting firm, alleging that it skimmed more than $1 million in federal Superstorm grants and directly from Sandy victims. Add that the scores of similar cases, the struggle for every dime in the meager state and federal and flood insurance payouts that don't approach costs, and then you begin to understand the frayed nerves and the feeling of hopelessness. Through it all, Ocean County Long-Term Recovery Group has worked feverishly to bring this big listing ship about, informed by a complex, sometimes inept, sometimes rigged, and mostly broken system. Can the roadblocks be cleared in time to matter? Clock is running. Returning to the Townsquare tonight is LCRG Executive Director Sue Martichek. Getting an update from you, and we're going to be expecting more. We've spoken to you several times in the past. These revelations of contractor fraud are nothing new. The size is daunting, but it's just one aspect of what the group is up against as time continues and funds dwindle. So let's start with a basic here. How many? You've had hundreds and hundreds of clients go through your portals. How many are you dealing with now?
Well, I will tell you, we have probably about 250 open cases that we are still actively working on, whether it's to do with the NFIP flood insurance review process, dealing with the state REM program, or dealing with contractor issues. Each and every week, we're getting new phone calls from people, and I can safely say we get 10 new people each week that call us. About 75% of those people are calling us because they are stuck in their construction project. There's some type of problem and they can't get out of it. And they're coming to us to try to unstick their problems, help give them guidance. And it is getting tougher and tougher.
What are some of the obstacles that are creating that wall for you?
Well, I think if you look at the entire recovery, it starts off behind the eight ball by getting underpaid on their NFIP, their flood insurance.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that now for a fact that our homeowners were underpaid because since FEMA reopened claims last year, the Long-Term Recovery Group has taken on flood insurance claims, and we had about 300. We're about halfway through, and we're approaching about $3 million that we have got additional dollars in. So that, in essence, means for that group of people, they were short $3 million,
$3 million
3.5 years ago. So we have people who are short on their insurance money, which makes many have to turn to a REM program, which is a grant for $150,000. There's challenges within that program, but even with the $150,000 grant and their flood insurance, many of these homeowners were still short funding. And then if they get through the first hurdle with their flood insurance, the second hurdle with the state REM program, now we get to the third hurdle, which is dealing with contractors, whether it's outright fraud or whether it's just a disagreement with the contractor. We have hundreds and hundreds of homeowners that are stuck in their recovery at this point, and the options of them moving forward are getting more and more daunting, as you said.
Sue, with regard to the contractors, I've met some that have put in their time with the long-term recovery group. I've known many outside of the group, all over the state, and by and large, are reputable people. But any effort's going to any group of people is going to have some renegades in it. Now, has as part of your function, has the group's function, has it been a function to recommend contractors at all?
No.
Okay.
We never went that route of recommending contractors. We've had some contractors that have been part of our workshops.
Mm-hmm.
They offered up free information and estimates, but we didn't think that was our role to actually pick a contractor. We most certainly guided people to where they should be vetting their contractors wherever they may choose to find them. But unfortunately, I don't think that there is a well-versed system out there, because besides checking with the state to find out if they have a license or have any charges against them, that's really all the state offered.
Mm-hmm.
So just because you have a license does not really mean that you are an honest contractor or that you actually know what you're doing in this recovery.
Sue Martichek, the executive director of the Ocean County Long-Term Recovery Group, which is still pushing along month by month to get people through the Sandy damage after all this time, is with us in the Townsquare tonight. We're talking about some of the legal issues that have arisen as a result of that. Now, Volunteer Lawyers for Justice are helping you along this line, too. They have some clinics coming up. Is that right?
Absolutely. There is not one step of this recovery that the Ocean County Long-Term Recovery has done that hasn't been within complete collaboration with other nonprofit partners. The Volunteer Lawyers for Justice and the Community Health Law Project has been working since the beginning of the year. We have hosted workshops and clinics to try to help homeowners through the REM process, through the NFIP, and then more recently we started going out and doing about contractor fraud and contractor issues, how to deal with fraud and while you're in the REM program. So we're just planning another 4 workshops coming up. There'll be 2 in Ocean County, 1 in Atlantic, and 1 in Monmouth County. And as soon as we get confirmation on the venues, I'll get that information. But I encourage all people who are in this process and are stuck with a construction problem, please come to these workshops. Let's start trying to figure it out together, because it is very complex.
Is the group, the Ocean County Long-Term Recovery Group, still meeting first Thursdays of the month at the
Yes, although I will tell you that for August, we're taking a
at the Elks
hiatus.
Lodge in Toms River?
But I think it's September 8th. That will be the next Thursday. It's actually the second Thursday, because the first is around Labor Day.
Mm-hmm.
But that we are still meeting, and we still have a great turnout from the community. Different people are coming in. Some people who have not even had no idea that this was still going on. We've had some of those come in recently, and it always is an eye-opening experience. Many homeowners are starting to come now just to express their frustration with the process, but all are welcome, and if you have any questions, we can also put that out to you and get that word out for September, because I think that will be an important one for all of us to kind of regroup.
All right, and that meeting takes place at the Times of Our Elks on Washington Street.
Mm-hmm.
And it starts at, I think, 10 a.m., right?
10 a.m., yep.
Okay. You have clinics in collaboration with your partners and with the BLJ, and the state has clinics too. They've run countless REM clinics in all 9 affected counties. You've seen them. What would you do differently about them? Are they effective in as far as you can see? Are yours better? Are yours different?
So ours are definitely different. First, we've done many more of them, and we started, the first workshop that we did was August 28th, and that was after they got rid of the Pathway C program. We realized instantly that by putting money in people's hands and also having them have the onus of the entire construction project on themselves, that was going to be a recipe for disaster if you did not provide guidance. So we started doing those workshops right at the end of August. And with that, we have had countless standing room only. I mean, Saturdays, just Saturday after Saturday with just standing room only. But the difference is when we are speaking, we're kind of doing it as a therapy session, kind of as a group effort. And there is an open dialogue between members in the community and trying to problem solve and get through. When the state does it, they are more focused on individual problems. So as an individual homeowner, I think they have been helpful if you have not been able to make headway by going to your project manager, been on the phone with people, that you could go straight to the state workshops and meet face-to-face with someone. So I do think they have a value. I just think that our people needed more guidance and clarity on some of the programs and how things unfolded. So we've always invited the state to participate. We're going to invite the state to participate in these upcoming workshops because, you know, we should all be on the same side of getting the next person back home. 3.5 years later, they're very complex problems. So to sit there and think that the state's going to have all the solutions, that's not going to happen. Or the nonprofits are going to have all the solutions, that's not going to happen. You need to start sitting together, working together, and trying to figure this out.
What is this wall that seems to exist between the shore and Trenton in this regard? I mean, I get the sense, and not just from you, but from people with whom I've interacted over the last 3.5 years, that somehow the message kind of dies out before it reaches the State House or before it reaches any of the offices there, and they don't really have, they're not here enough to really grasp what's going on.
Well, I mean, that's an excellent point, and it's really a big mind shift.
They
right?
come here for the clinics, but then they leave again. They're not there the next day. They don't wake up to this every day, and they don't understand what the pattern of life is like when you're up against this. This is the impression I get.
Well, whether it is at the local level, at the state level, or at the federal level, my epiphany during this recovery has been, I think it would serve the government well at all levels if they actively put a seat at the table for the nonprofits. Because whatever problem they're trying to solve with government dollars, there's usually a nonprofit entity that is working in the community on that same problem on a shoestring. But what that nonprofit brings is the knowledge, is the data, is the day-to-day on whatever that topic is. So here we are in this recovery, and you have countless amount of nonprofits that work every minute of every day on Sandy recovery. So we have a great, vast knowledge of what is exactly happening. And a great example would be when we told them, the state, that there was a severe problem to do with rental assistance. At that point, we had gone over spending $1 million helping people with rental assistance. And we told them that money was supposed to go for construction supplies, but we needed to keep the people's heads above water. So at first, they didn't really see that problem. Then eventually they got to see a clearer picture. To their credit, they started to work on a program. But before they put all their nuts and bolts together, they never asked us anything in the nonprofits. Free advice. How many clients you have, what's your average rent, what's the average length of time somebody is doing it, where are the areas, and we would have shared all of our information. But I just don't think it's in the system yet, in the mindset of government, to work hand in hand with the nonprofits. And what happened? They put a program out and they put it out for $800 a month, which we would have told them that that doesn't help really anybody. So they made some slight changes, but the whole point is if we could realize that there is a value to the nonprofits that they bring, they're just not these little do-gooders, that there is really a great amount of knowledge that can be gained, and it would save them money.
Friends, you're listening to Sue Martichek, the Executive Director of the Ocean County Long-Term Recovery Group, which is still at it, helping people through the devastation of Sandy. Not finished yet, but it's a struggle, and we'll get to that and a little portend of the future when we return to Townsquare tonight right after this.
This summer, everybody is going topless at the Jersey Shore. Yes, you heard me right. I'm talking about going topless in your new convertible from Toms River Volkswagen. Don't miss out on all the savings during their model year-end clearance with convertibles starting at $59.95. Lease the 2016 Jetta S with tech package starting as low as $69 per month. Toms River Volkswagen, 256 Route 37 East in Toms River or at tomsrivervw.com. The Toms River Volkswagen way, the right way, every day.
There goes another home run and another $1,000 donated to a local charity that helps soldiers, their families, and our veterans. Home Runs for Heroes is back for an 8th season through a partnership between the Lakewood Blue Claws, Ocean First Foundation, and WOBM. Every time a Blue Claws player hits a homer at First Energy Park, Ocean First Foundation donates $1,000 to one of 9 organizations that provides financial support to help meet the emergency and basic needs of active and retired veterans and their families during difficult times. Over the last 7 seasons, $187,000 has been awarded to charity partners like Chariot Riders, who offers equine activities for our military members with disabilities, active duty, reserve, or veteran. Accredited by the Professional Association of Therapeutic Horsemanship. For more on what they do, visit chariotriders.org. Cheer for the Blue Claws and all our military-based charities all season long. And for more on Home Runs for Heroes, check out WOBM.com.
Now, back to Townsquare Tonight on WOBM AM 1160, 1310, and WOBMAM.com.
Welcome back. Tom Angeli with you this evening and with Sue Martichek, the Executive Director of the Ocean County Long-Term Recovery Group. We've been discussing the state of affairs almost 4 years since the superstorm and what the group has been doing for literally hundreds of people to get them through this. I imagine it's thousands over the span of time. And they're not doing this lest anyone get the misconception that the group is sitting on a pile of money that it just dispenses and has the wherewithal because of some ties to the government. It doesn't. They're doing this literally month by month through private donations. This is how it works. They're not tied or beholden or feeding from any government entity. How do you go about corralling the money every month?
Well, I will tell you that right now it is absolutely a daunting task to try to sit there and figure out how you're going to get to the end of the year, how you're going to get through January. And, you know, I wouldn't mind closing our doors if I knew that we had our people home, or most of our people home. But that is not the story. The story is we have hundreds and thousands of people who are still not home, and I'm afraid that this nonprofit group and its community partners, if we go away from this recovery, I cannot imagine the hardship that these people are going to have. I can't tell you the countless amount of times that people have thanked us for being the only shining light, the only ray of hope that they have had in this recovery, because they could pick up the phone and call us when they don't understand something. They got something. Their builder said this. The state told them this. NFIP, ICC declined them. And to have some entity out there that they could pick up the phone and call and know that that person on the other side of the phone is on their side, is looking out for their best interest. There is not another entity out there that can provide that for these homeowners. We have not gotten any money from our county government, our state government, or our federal government. And to put it in a real context is in this recovery, this is a review process right now for the National Flood Insurance Program. What they spend in one day on admin costs in their review process would fund my entire program for a year. So when you start thinking about that, it kind of makes it feel ridiculous. The amount of work and good work that we are doing on the nonprofit level compared to what our tax dollars are going to do and how they're being spent in our government programs is disgusting.
To whose attention should you be bringing this outside of ours?
Well, unfortunately, I hate to admit it, but it all comes back to politics.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, it is the people that we elect that choose our policies and the purse strings. So somewhere along the line, we as a community have to start paying attention to who's in office and what they're doing in office. And if they're doing things we like, put them back in. And if they're doing things that are against our living, making our lives better, then we have to change. Because right now, the things that are happening from the certainly from the on the FEMA side, on the federal program, and right down to our state program, we need to be spending our money wiser. There's a lot of $61 billion came down from that federal government down to the states affected by Sandy, and I do not think we got the biggest bang for our buck here in New Jersey.
Now, on the local side and even on the county side, let's balance that out a little bit. The homeowners aren't the only ones that took a major financial hit. Towns are still reeling. Toms River specifically, Ortley Beach alone accounts for so much of its revenue base, and it's not back yet, not the way it used to be. It's still happening. So what does this tell you about where things are going from here? The amount of time it's taking for that ship to right itself.
Well, I think there's a couple things. One, town of Toms River. I know the last time I was on a conference call with Toms River, they had mentioned at that point that they were still behind by $880 million in ratables. So that makes the issue of Sandy recovery far beyond the people that got water in their homes. Because if you didn't get water in your homes, you will get hit by Sandy in your taxes. Because we need our communities to come back. We need the ratables to come back.
We need towns to function, and the
Yes.
money's got to come from somewhere.
So if your home didn't get flooded, but now your taxes has gone up 5, 10, 20, 30%, like we need to be joining forces together as a community to demand that we have better programs in place for this recovery and that the money is being spent wisely. And the end result is putting people back in their homes.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if we have all worked on that same page with the major goal being get that person home.
Seems to me that the municipal side of things, the local side of things, is pretty much in your corner. And there's this chasm that exists between there and the federal level, another one to the state level. There are all these disconnects. What's the best way that you can think of it? And I know you've thought about it. How do you draw the connection?
Well, I will tell you that I have gone down to FEMA. I have certainly had meetings with the state, and from my personal perspective, the best way to get things done is put everybody in the room
Mm-hmm.
together and talking. Because if you do it piecemeal, if you do it siloed, it never works. You need at some point, and that's why the nonprofits have worked. Because we've literally sat in rooms together to try to figure out each other's programs and how best that we can work together. And I don't think the federal government does that at all.
We enjoy our lifestyle here at the shore. And, as much of a struggle as it's been for a lot of people, it's important to remember, as you were saying, getting people back in their houses is going to bring everything back a lot more quickly. And if it doesn't happen quality of life begins to deteriorate, property values keep dropping, and we're stuck in this for even a longer haul. And that's critical consideration. Keep doing what you're doing. We're going to have you back in here at the anniversary or thereabouts. In the meantime, the group meets again September 8th, Toms River Elks Lodge, 10 a.m. Be there if you need the help. I'm Tom Mongelli. Thank you, Sue.
Thank you, Tom.
Townsquare Tonight is a presentation of Townsquare Media, New Jersey Shore News Division. Technical coordination and call facilitation by Mark Anthony. Video and audio coordination is by Bradley James and Tom Tremblay. Programming consultant Steve Arlina, and Townsquare, New Jersey's Vice President of News Operations is Eric Scott. Next week at this time, Franco Godi-Frere from the Latino Alliance. See you then.
This has been Townsquare Tonight, a presentation of WOBM News. To find out more about tonight's show and stay up to date on everything happening in your hometown, log on to WOBMAM.com. News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160 and 1310.
This is Marianne Levy, News